the biggest success you feel you've both had so far, and where were you in your life when this happened?
Okay, what would you say?
Oh, go ahead. I don't know.
Well, for me, the biggest success I've ever had was meeting you. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, that made everything, you know, I mean, everything that good that's come in my life has been thanks to that. You know, so that's the high point, you know. I mean, I've been very, very lucky because I met Elaine when I think I just turned 20. And so that was perfection. That was great because, again, when she met me, I was just a little college student. There was no telling if I would accomplish anything. And she had faith in me. You know, so I mean, when I met her, I already knew she was wonderful. But, you know, she was taking a big risk in me. And it worked out. But I've been very lucky because, you know, think of all the people who, as kids, they want to be writers or directors or producers. They watch TV shows and they say, God, I'd like to be part of that world. I want to be on the other side of that glass of the TV screen. And I got to do that. I got to be that. I mean, my heroes were Rod Serling and Ray Bradbury because they were doing TV and books and movies. And I got to do all of that. And so I'm very, very lucky. But Elaine had faith in me. And so, and I was, it's funny because I was going to say I was unformed. You know, when she met me, you know, I wasn't able to do any of the things I can do now. You know, I mean, but she had already directed off-Broadway. She had already been an actress. She had adventures, and so you know, she had already proven her value.
I think for both of us, our biggest success is whatever we're involved in at the moment. We're not most looking back. We're sort of drunk on the moment, the enthusiasm of the moment. Yes. And in a way, it's kind of sad to say, well, that was the big time.
No.
I think it's the ongoing journey. You know, you have to sort of, the success is the ongoing journey, and you have to be a little bit crazy, you know, with each new thing and say, this is going to be amazing.
Right.
And so I don't think it's like one thing. It's
well, we don't rest on our laurels.
Yeah.
I mean, right now is the exciting time. I mean, to have my own studio, to walk into a building filled with spaceship sets. I mean, I mentioned that when I was 10, I went to the Star Trek set, and when I step onto that stage with our spaceship sets, it's the exact same feeling. It's that same thrill. I'm 10 years old again. And to be able to create something, it's like every day is like Christmas. It's just basically, my God, wonderful actors, wonderful people to work with, and to be able to write and direct and produce with Elaine is such a thrill because she brings the meaning. She makes sure that what I'm doing is meaningful and is working. And when we're done with this, we'll go back with our editor and we'll sit down with our editor and continue working. And that's just thrilling. And so we're just very lucky to be where we are and doing what we do.
So what would you say to someone that might be listening to this that feels that maybe they hit their peak however many years ago, and they feel that there's no way up for them for whatever reason?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Oh, I would say that has nothing to do with their craft. I think that has to do with feeling stuck in life. And take a walk around the block, talk to people, volunteer. That, you know, bring yourself back to your work. Something has happened. There's been a disconnect. And that I doubt very much of it has to do with their craft. It has to do with they've lost something inside, which can easily be regained if you don't tell yourself a story. You know, it's the stories that destroy us. And to just say, get re-enthused about your life. And it's not in the past. All those years, even the years of misery, there's, you know, we were talking to a large group of writers in a seminar, and two writers in the far front corner of this large room, they raised their hand and said, well, we're from Denmark, and we'd love to work here, but we're very different, we have a different culture. You know, we really feel we have nothing to say because we feel like such outsiders. And I said, well, why don't you just turn around and look at everybody else in the audience? And they did. And I said, okay, everybody else in the audience, who here feels like an outsider? And every hand in the room went up. And I said, I think you've got something to write about. And what's important is a lot of people don't realize that. It's like, oh, I feel so alone. And to say, well, everyone tends to feel secretly very alone. And so you understand that even in your loneliness, you're not alone. So have the courage and share it. And that makes you and everybody else feel less so. And so I think those feelings to say, I'm feeling it, but I know it's bogus, and I will push through.
And what I would also say in that regard is, every day that you wake up is another beginning. And the past, in a way, is an illusion. It's sort of like, it's gone. You can't reclaim it. So all you can do is say, what do I want to do with this day? What do I want to do this moment? And you can be an entirely reborn person. But look for people who are positive. Look for people who have a good life energy. Look for people who allow you your dream. And if you don't find them where you are, come here. Come to where, where your dreams can be made possible. And don't be stopped. But don't be ever stopped. Find the way to make it happen.
In one of my scripts that I'm in the middle of polishing, there's a place of second chances, and somebody says they don't believe that there's a place where you can get second chances, and they say, well, because if somebody found out that there's a place of second chances, then this place would be flooded. And the fellow he's talking to, he said, laughs and says, no, you're thinking of the town down the way of damn good excuses.
Yes.
And I think that when sometimes people feel defeated, part of them is looking for the good excuse and not really for the second chance, because that we can make endlessly.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say just in conclusion in that regard, I would urge anyone who has a dream to pursue it and to not be deterred and to take a chance. And to really go for it. And one day I came home and there was a message on my answering machine, and it was Ray Bradbury. And he'd come across something I'd written and he loved it, and he invited me to his house. And that was, of course, a thrill of a lifetime. And I went to his house and we hit it off and we became great friends. And the thing that amazed me about Ray was that I knew him in his 80s and into his 90s. He died at 91. And through that whole time, I met him after he'd had a stroke, and his schedule as a writer had been to get up 5 days a week, write for 3 hours, then have lunch, take a nap, do his business, his writing, the business of his career in the afternoon, and then evenings and weekends for his family. And he did that for 70 years. And when I knew him, he'd had a stroke, and his mind was fine, but he couldn't type anymore, and his handwriting was even very difficult. So what he would do to continue writing was he would wake up in the morning holding the words in his head. He would then call his daughter in Arizona and dictate the words to her. She would type them and then fax them to him, and he would make hand corrections on the typescript. That was how he wrote. And he was writing 2 new books a year through his 80s into his 90s, and he was made of iron. And so this is the kind of person that I wanted to be my inspiration and my mentor, because I saw how determined he was. Nothing was going to stop him. And that was wonderful to see, and certainly something I want to emulate. So I would urge everyone to take that to heart and not be deterred.